round to the nearest 10, 100 or 1,000. So how do we do that? Well, if we take a number like 32 and you're asked to round to the nearest 10. So the trick to this is you need to know, right, which one is the tens column, the 3 or the 2? Well, 3 is in the tens column. So now we know that. We look to the number to the right, which is this one here, the 2. Is this 2 worth 5 or more? Well, 2 is less than 5, so no. So when that happens, all you do is the 2, you just make the 2 becomes 0 and the 3 stays. So 32 to the nearest 10 turns into 30. If, however, the question was, well, it's 35, round that to the nearest 10. Well, the 3 is the tens column. We look one to the right, 5. Is 5 or more? Well, it is 5 or more. It's a 5. So in this case, the 3 turns into a 4, 5 turns into a 0. Notice that the number to the right is always turning into a 0. Whatever happens, it's going to turn into a 0. Whether or not the number in the tens moves up or stays the same, well, that's down to your analysis of what the number to the right does, whether it's 5 or more. So let's now change this and let's say, okay, round to the nearest 100, and let's take a number like, well, let's go with the classic 123. Round to the nearest 100. So which number's in the hundreds column? Well, it's that one here. Let's look one to the right. So that's the 2. Is 2 5 or more? Well, it's not 5 or more. It's 2. So we write 1. The 2 turns into a 0. And so does every other number after it. So the 3 turns into a 0 as well. Done. 123 round to the nearest 100 becomes 100. Let's make it a bit harder. Let's have 4, 1, 2, 3. Round this one to the nearest 100. Right. So, how do we do that? Which one's in the hundreds column? The 1 is. Let's look one to the right. So that's 2. Is 2 worth 5 or more? It isn't. So, we have a slight change here because there's a 4 to the left of this 1. And because it's on the left hand side, we leave the 4 as it is. We put the 1 down. And everything else to the right of 1 turns into a 0. Because this 2 and the 3 are on the right hand side of the 1. And that's it. So 4,123 rounds to the nearest 100 becomes 4,100. Do another example. Let's make this a 8. Let's round this one to the nearest 100. 4,183. So which number is in the hundreds column? Because we're rounding to the nearest 100, so we've got to look for the hundreds column. Well, it's the 1. What's the number to the right of 1? 8. Is 8 worth 5 or more? Yes. So because that happens, the 1 in our answer is going to turn into a 2, i.e. the 1 here increases by 1. So your answer will be 4, 2, and all these turn to zeros because they're on the right hand side of the 1. That's it. 4200, 4,200. Let's go one further. Let's make it 1,000. So, round to the nearest 1,000. Well, which number is in the thousands column? Well, it's the 4. What's the number to the right? It's a 1. Is 1 worth 5 or more? No, it isn't. So the 4 stays the same. It does not go up by 1. So 4 and everybody else turns to a 0 because they're all on the right hand side of 4. Done. That's it. Final one to finish. Let's have this is a mean one, but I think we should go through it. We've got 999 round to the nearest 1,000. So you say, well, hang on a minute. Well, we haven't got anything in the thousands column here. But that doesn't matter, because we can just imagine there's something. Well, let's just imagine there's a 0 in front. There you go. What's the number to the right? 9. Is 9 worth 5 or more? Yes, it is. So the 0 in the thousands column must increase by 1. And everybody else to the right turns into 0. 1, 2, 3. All the 9s turn to zeros. So 999 round to the nearest 1,000 is 1,000. And the final thing I want to just say to you is you may be asked round to the nearest integer. Integer means whole number, i.e. nothing with a decimal point in it. So if you had something like 17.83, you need an answer that doesn't have a decimal in it. So 17.83, let's look to the first number on the right of the decimal point, 8. Is 8 worth 5 or more? Yes, it is. So the 8, so what happens is the number to the left of the 8, the 7, will jump up by 1. So that 7 turns into an 8. So you will write 1, 8. These 8 and the 3 turn into zeros, but you've been asked integer. So you cannot write this time .00 because that would get you a big cross. So you have to write 18 to make it an integer or whole number. And that is all I need to say on this whole rounding thing.